Hi guys, welcome back to our ongoing series on building the autonomous brokerage. And we'll start as usual with meeting the team and how our week was. I'm Andrew. I'm focused on the customer success most of the time. And guys, last week we've been talking about a massive capacity shift. And this week I was speaking with some agency owners. They were absolutely buried in day-to-day routine in the death of thousand cuts and the constant interruptions from like certificate chasing signatures and after hours like lender requests, and seeing their expressions when they realized that the machine could handle all like those calls and text for them. Like that was just like aha moment for them. Like that was crazy, and I really like that keeping that momentum for them and building it out.
Hey, I'm Scott. Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I guess I kind of been on the same as you, right? Like I've been working on a lot on the AI and with our virtual assistants. It's pretty cool. Like working with some of these other tools, they're working with clients, but what we've been really focusing on is making our tool proactive. So it's not just sitting there and needing a human or someone to call in. It can actually proactively make calls on behalf of a certain action for like complex conversations all the way through a script. So not just like once off. And actually querying the agent's knowledge base as well. So really bringing in like real-time information on a live call within a client.
Hey guys, James here. So yeah, my week has been kind of on a similar vein, like on the side of the proactivity of our virtual assistant, but specifically on the process execution side. So I mean, having AI talk is quite a neat party trick to have, but you need to make sure then that it's gonna follow through. So after the conversation is finished, knowing it's going to do the work that comes up in those follow-on actions and from that conversation, like filling out forms, saving documents into your AMS or CRM system, and triggering whatever the next steps are within the insurance workflow without human involvement in executing those tasks.
Yeah, thank you guys. And let's just get into it. And we have solved like carry appetite, right? We have automated massive policy comparisons, and we have built like the zero touch proposals. But the reality is that in a daily routine, daily task for the brokerage, that isn't like the big strategy stuff, right? It's the relentless like basic requests that they having. And Scott, why are these routine tasks are so disruptive for them?
Right. So it's definitely the largest frustrations from the clients that we're dealing with and talking to is because they're just overwhelmed. Insurance doesn't just operate between the standard 9 to 5. Clients buy cars on Saturday morning. Lenders are desperate because they need like a evidence of insurance before they can do their business. To close a mortgage, let's say on Fridays. So there's this kind of sense of urgency. And right now the agencies are either paying too expensive for after hour answering services. That's basically just an answering machine. It's a glorified answering machine, or the brokers themselves are tethered to their phones all weekend, and late hours because they need to get these things processed for their clients. Furthermore, chasing down a client for a missing renewal signature or issuing a standard COI, a certificate of insurance, completely derails the broker's focus. And when they should be selling, they're focused on the admin side.
Yeah. That's massive drain of moral and productivity. And I think James can help me here, like about how we're on our virtual assistants actually solving this, because we're not talking about like just a simple chatbot right here on the website.
Yeah, we're definitely not. We're way past that stage now. We're talking here about a fully omni-channel intelligent worker. So by omni-channel, I mean calls, SMSs, emails, and for that I also mean handling like inbound requests, but also outbound campaigns like follow-ups, for instance. So you can basically deploy our software as a virtual receptionist, an outbound sales SDR, and also as a back office assistant. So it's covering all of those different functions there. So we're giving agencies the ability to customize the voice, the personality, the directions to make it suit like what your business is, and so it feels more congruent with your team. But aside from that, if there's something that needs to be handled by a licensed broker, then we can transfer it off to the right human. So the receptionist, if they need human intervention, they can pass off to do that. But if it is something that they can handle entirely autonomously, then it can go through that process of looking up policy details in the database, for instance, to reference in a conversation, or collecting missing documents as part of like an SMS follow-up campaign, monitoring for updates in a quote application so that those can be forwarded to the prospect or to the client, and then automatically filling out forms as information is collected from the customer. So whatever those activities are, it's staying on top of them.
That sounds great, but I think we need to put it into the context, right? If Scott can help me with and give some like the breakdown of what this looks like for the basic annoying task, and tell me what like the absolute peak for this technology could look like.
Yeah, sure. Let me provide two examples here. Let's say a renewal is coming up, like a lot of insurance companies have to do with renewals, and all you really need is an acknowledgement and that everything is the same on the client side, right? So, and is the client interested? So, for some customers, what we've done is we've got the virtual assistant to be proactive. It's checking the AMS system like a human would. So, goes in, checks it, see the renewals, when it's going to happen. And basically from then it'll take over and start sending messages out to get the confirmation, without needing any human involvement. So you're saving that extra step in your process. And then obviously from that, it can execute the next stage. Another example, for the daily grind, it's perfect for things like EOIs and COIs. A client texts your agency number at 8 p.m., say, they need an EOI for a new vehicle. The AI texts verifies their identity so it can securely check the information on your own system, using your own data. You don't need to bring the data into our system. You can use your system, generate the document and email it directly to the lender within seconds. Or if it's renewal pending, the AI can make those outbound calls as well to follow up with the client, answering basic questions about the policy and texting them signature links, and it can operate 24/7.
Yeah, so this really is the holy grail of tying a VA into everything we've been discussing over these past few weeks in this like autonomous end-to-end process, right? Because the VA is they're not just customer facing, but they're also living in the same systems that you are, and they're able to function in total alignment with your team. So let's say, for example, we've got net new calls coming in. The AI agent is answering, they're performing the initial intake, they're collecting the data, they're instructing the client to upload their documents, so those can go into your system. And then the system can basically take over from that point. It can run the carrier match, submit the data, catch the quotes, run the comparison, build the proposals. And once all that's put together, then the VA can essentially send that final proposal for signature to the client. So we're talking the whole journey from that first touch point all the way through to presentation. And the only reason a human broker would have to get involved would be for oversight on that process, from a compliance perspective, and then also getting involved in any high-level consulting or any high-level conversations with the client, such as if something's changed and they need to add some additional input from the licensed broker's perspective. Everything else is handled by the AI, and the AI is working in perfect tandem with your team.
Yeah, and I really like that, and I feel like this is actually what is the definition of the autonomous brokerage is, right? I think that's also important to break it down for our viewers, the actual math on the on the time and cost savings for them, right? Because probably this is one of the most questions that they will be asking and asking us after we explain how that works.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, let's take an example, generating a COI or EOI to make a series of follow-up calls to chase signatures. This can take roughly 15, 20 minutes of a human's time per instance, right?
Yep.
So when you factor in the context switching, i.e., going from one task to the next task, if an agency's processes just 50 of these minor requirements or follow-ups in a week, we're already talking 12 and a half, 16 hours of lost productivity every single week.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And put that into like a financial perspective as well. Like even with that amount of hours, we're talking like one entire person at that point. And if you're a larger brokerage, it could be extrapolate that to several people. So normally an agency would solve that by hiring like an offshore VA, for instance, which is going to cost you like 1.5 to 2.5 grand a month typically to get a good one, or an onshore administrative hire, which then you're talking more in like the 4 grand a month mark. And the Prudence virtual assistant, the AI virtual assistant, is going to be eliminating that cost, literally eliminating the entire cost, because it is doing the entire function that offshore or onshore administrator was doing previously. So, and of course, there's also the added perks of it's going to be running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's never going to fall in sick, unlike your offshore VA may. And it's going to also be handling all these tasks simultaneously. So you don't have to scale the team and hire even more VAs or more onshore people as your business grows. It can just simultaneously handle all those phone calls, those texts, those tasks. So as you grow, this could literally save you tens of thousands of dollars a month in payroll, while you're still offering your clients an even better service, like an instant around the clock service that human couldn't.
I feel like this is the final puzzle from our end because you don't have to be glued to your phone or over the weekend, right? Regarding some like basic administrative stuff, and you don't need to add more people to handle that, to just simply cover the routine emails and text. We want to help our viewers to get this operational implementation right away. That's why I want to dive deep a little bit more into numbers here to sum it up, as we have the special offer for our viewers. Because looking at the carrier match and submissions, we're already saving like about 2 hours per account, not fighting the guidelines. In total, it's about 40 hours a month. Regarding policy comparisons, letting the machine reading this 400 pages policies, saving about this starting from 2 hours per account, right? And that's about as well like 40 hours a month. Proposal generation, we are talking about automating like, let's say about 1 hour per serving account, and that's total 20 hours a month. Collectively, we're reclaiming about 100 hours every single month for our users at a standard like 30 to 40 dollar an hour for an experienced account manager. You're saving about 3 to 4 thousand a month in pure operations. That's roughly 36 to 48 grants a year in recovered payroll capacity. And right now, usual similar setup costs about like $10,000. And right now, for our viewers, 10 first who will reach out, we will be able to set up it end-to-end for 4,500 investment from your end, and you will see the return on investment in about first 2 months. This is what we're seeing from our previous implementations. Hopefully, they will enjoy their autonomous brokerage. Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.